So this is it. This is the second part of the World Finals, the Lamborghini World Finals for 2024. The Pro and the Pro-Am grid is absolutely rammed. One part is down, and the winner so far has 15 points in the bag. His name is Hampus Eriksson, and he's starting at the front row of the grid, so he is the one who's going to be challenged, but the conditions are dry. My name's Bruce Jones, and I'm joined by Jack Bartholomew, who'll keep me on the straight and narrow with the racing driver's point of view. But if it's like any of the other races here at Jerez so far, over 4 days of racing action, all will be good. Will there be change? Someone in front of our commentary position has just put up an umbrella. But let's go down to the grid to Marietta Evans at the front. Go, Marietta. So, riding over the top of the grid, only that one umbrella in the grandstands. Everyone else, they might have some rain tyres, but I think for a 50-minute race, Jack, we should be okay with dry.
Yeah, track's fully dry. We've had a few spits this morning, I believe, during the AM and Lamborghini Cup race. But yeah, should be on slicks. Oh,
actually, as you say that, there's rain coming down. Let's go down to the grid to Marietta Evans, who may be getting a little bit wet.
No.
Okay. So, a sudden flurry. People taking photos on the grid, and now they're starting to put jackets on. The brave people in the crowd. And there's a good crowd here this weekend at the Circuito de Jerez. They've enjoyed a lot of racing, but this could be a twist. And for those at the front of the grid, I guess they'll be rather relieved that they are at the front end. And it's Amory Bonduel who start from pole. And Jack, that could have worked for him yesterday. It absolutely did not.
no, he got a good helping hand off into the gravel yesterday. If he can get a similar start today, I'm sure he will learn from what happened and just stay a little bit tight just to put anyone off coming up the inside. Yeah, I got that a bit wrong. It is actually raining out there. The track's still going to be dry. Obviously, once you generate heat in the slick tyres, you can stay on them for quite a long period of time. But once there's laying water, that's when you want to be on the wet tyres. So now they have to sit tight until they're told they can't change the tyres anymore.
Exactly, and say their prayers. But the grid is, just to reiterate, it's Pro and Pro-Am. In fact, the top Pro-Am runner did incredibly well. That's Milos Pavlovic. He's qualified as high as 8th on the grid. However, not too much further back, here's the driver who's leading the Pro-Am tally so far. Brendan Leach will be starting nearish the front of there. So it's all about competing, not against everybody else in the race. It's the other people in your class. The other people in Pro, if you're a Pro, or the other people in Pro-Am, if that is your class. But we'll unravel the numbers, Jack. I'll throw that to you later in the race through the 50 minutes. A pit stop in the middle point of the race. And fingers crossed, there'll be no safety cars. But sometimes the timing of a safety car can make your race or break it.
Yeah, timing of a safety car and timing of the pit stop is absolutely crucial in these sprint races. You know, you can really, capitalise on a safety car, or you can massively lose out. It really depends on timing and where you're at in your own race.
Okay, let's go down to Marietta Evans. Hopefully we have contact.
Hello, and I also have breaking news from the grid because it's starting to rain. Front row cars are still on a slick. I don't know if that may change, but let's have a quick chat with Hampus Eriksson. Hampus, you said yesterday that you like to keep calm, think of the long game. Today, will you be thinking race win, or will you be playing things safe and thinking of the World Finals?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, it's hard to plan a race, especially a race start, the first lap. I just try to survive the first lap, take it from there. Hopefully we get some clean air and show our pace.
Guys, you're still on slicks, but we have more and more raindrops falling. How do you think that's going to affect conditions and strategy today?
It will affect a lot, I think, especially if it's keep raining like this. But we'll see. It's the same for everyone, so it's just about to focus forward and avoid the mistakes.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay.
What you want to remove when you're about to start a race is variables, and rain, it may just blow past. The track will still be completely dry now. It's absolutely fine. Let's just check the temperature. 21 degrees, track temperature, 21 degrees thereabouts. Humidity, 74. We've had much higher, but we've had rain.
Yeah,
Okay, well, actually, Jack, let's just cut across you there, sorry, and go down because Marietta's with Oliver Soderstrom.
And I think for Oliver today is a bit of like a day of redemption after that bittersweet end to the Super Trofeo Europe campaign. Oliver, first of all, you have an opportunity today to leave it on a high. How are you feeling?
Oh yeah, I cannot hear everything, but I could hear you ask me what I'm feeling. No, I'm super excited. It's gonna be a tough race. I think it's the last race of the season for everyone. I think a lot is gonna go down today, so let's see what happens.
Not a lot of water yet, but we do have some raindrops at the moment. How do you think that may change or affect conditions?
We'll see. Right now, I still think it's dry, so let's see. Could maybe rain more later, but we will see.
Thank you very much. And for what I can see, Bruce, at the moment, everybody's still sticking on slick tyres.
Well, I think that's eminently wise, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, you don't want to change to the rain tyres until there is lying water on the track. If you go onto the wets while the track is dry or there's not sufficient water to keep the tread patterns cool, you start to overheat the tread block, and then basically the tyre becomes like chewing gum and becomes really soft, and the car kind of four-wheel slides everywhere. So you really want to try and avoid going onto that tyre until it is fully wet.
Okay, let's discuss another element. Oh, well, let's just talk about this car on pole position. Amaury Bonduelle kicked off yesterday, and in fact got kicked off at the very first corner. The pole side is on the pit wall side, which means you're on the outside line going into turn one. You go uphill, turn to the right. It's quite a tight corner. Well, let's have another driver who's thinking about the run to that first corner. Milos Pavlovic, who is the highest qualified car in Pro-Am. He's 8th on the grid. Marietta.
He is, in fact, indeed, the poleman in the Pro-Am class. Milos, it's been a bit of a season of up and downs for you and Alessio, but what do you feel you can achieve today? Is the podium the goal?
Well, you know, we are just doing the best we can, giving Alessio the best chance he can to learn and to progress. And then we take it from there. Whatever comes, comes. Let's just hope we finish a race. It's a safe race and the weather doesn't make it too crazy, but just a little bit.
We've been asking everybody on the grid, because we have some raindrops at the moment, how do you feel this is going to change, or if it's going to change much or affect much the conditions at the moment?
Well, it's just going to make the first few laps very tricky, and then if it stays like this, it's going to be okay. But yeah, first 2 laps going to be tricky.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you, Marietta. So all the drivers effectively seeming quite cool and calm down there. There's not, if the rain was much heavier, there would be a question mark. But even so, you'd be able to get a handful of laps in, maybe as far as the mandatory pit stops on a dry track. Right, there we are, the Hankook Racing tyres, and you can see with those orange flashes on the side, the orange stickers that they're the slick tyres. And let's see if the drivers can produce a slick race. And get this, we've got 42 cars out there to play, and we'll see how they get on. One of them didn't get to set a time in qualifying. Actually, that was the European Pro-Am champions, Bronek Formaniak's car, and that will be starting at the very back of the grid. But as for the rest, we'll see how they pan out. Looking down there at car 99, that was the car that leads the Pro-Am battle at the moment, the Macintosh Brendan Leach car. That's got 15 points in the bag, and the car it needs to look at is this one, which is Nick Persing and Nate Stacey. They're starting rather further down the order, 20th on the grid as opposed to Leach's 11th, but they're second in the Pro-Am class. But we'll see how that spans out, Jack, as we move through the course of the race. Now we need to just focus on how they get away at the start. Does everyone get through that first corner cleanly? That's what we've got to focus on. And in fact, so have they.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about making that first corner. If you're off in the gravel at turn 1, again, that's your world finals over. So everyone's just got to really focus on this, formation lap to work even harder than you normally do to generate as much heat as possible into the tyres and brakes because of the changeable conditions. I don't think it's going to affect the track at the moment. It's just an additional thing to just bear in mind when you're really working those tyres on the formation round to the grid.
And then, of course, every driver on the grid should be conversant with who they're racing against. In a multi-class race, traditionally in the Super Trofeo, we had the 4 classes. We had so many cars here for the World Finals, we had to split the grid. So this is just the pros with the red flash at the top of the windscreen and the Pro-Ams with the yellow flash. But the highest placed car on the grid in the Pro-Am class is car number 33. It's green with red, white and black flashes. It's starting in 8th place. The next one is in 10th place, John Dubetz. So they'll just be aware of each other, but also aware of what points people have got in the bag. Only any of the cars that finished in the top 10 positions have points, or you get a point for pole position. And bear in mind, Amaury Bonduelle on pole position. Might have thought he'd come away with 15 points for yesterday's win. He got as far as the first corner and was pushed off. He's starting on pole again, so he's not starting with 0 points, despite doing next to no racing mileage. He's got 2 in the bank, but importantly for Hampus Eriksson, who's starting on the outside of the front row. There he is alongside Bonduelle. He already has 15 points, so it's 2 points to the pole starter and 15 to the driver alongside. Oliver Soderstrom, we heard from him, he's starting 3rd alongside Igor Oruchev, who's had such a strong meeting here at Jerez. Going down to row 3, Jano Torino and Bryson Morris in an all-American pairing on row 3. Row 4, Miki Koyama, she's a really talented Japanese racer, top Asian qualifier here. And Milos Pavlovic, who's the highest-ranked runner in the Pro-Am class on this grid. Then Ryan Norman, such a strong season in the States. Yet again, John Dubetz, 2nd of the Pro-Am running. He and Tom Capizzi looking for good things. Brendan Leach, he is leading the Pro-Am class with 15 points in his pockets. Paul Levette alongside. Mark Miller had a good race yesterday. He's starting 13th with Sebastian Baltazar for Lippert in 14th. Then a Finnish racer, Jesse Salmon-Alsho, and Jerzy Spinkovic, one of a handful of drivers who's going solo in this race. Elias de la Tour, promising young American, he starts 17th, and Simon Turman for the French Schumacher CLRT team. There's Stefan Bostantiev and Nick Persing. He is 2nd in the Prime class, but he's down in 20th. He's got to have a really good race. Kiko Porto and Edgar Malouin. Malouin's teammates been going well this weekend, so that could come up the order a fair bit. Then Pietro Perellini for Oregon team, and Emilian Card, who's paired with Dan Wells, the Asian Series champion. Hasn't been a dream meeting for them as yet. Ibrahim Badawi from Egypt, and Khalid Bergman, who's racing for Target Racing 25th and 26th. In 27th, Leonardo Caglioni, expect progress for him for the Oregon team, and Benedetto Strignano. He was a driver who had some contact yesterday, so he's going to be keeping his nose clean today. Cole Clerc and Diego Di Fabio form 29th and 30th on the grid. Then Andrea Fontana and Ignacio Zanon, who had high hopes yesterday, but his car went off, unfortunately, and scuppered that. And Alex Au, who took a title here last year, he shares with Frederick Chandorf. He's down in 33rd position. Slade Stewart and Andy Lee, well, they may well come forward. They need to. They're placing and showing well in the Prime class. Towards the back, Anthony Nara and Andre Lagatisha. We're getting towards the back of the grid now. Wesley Slimp, Claude-Yves Gosselin, and the 21st row, Thomas Lee and Broniek Formaniak. He's the Pro-Am champion for Europe, and along with Stefan Racina, did not get a time in qualifying. Will start at the back, but the front row in the gold car, Amaury Bonduelle. Opposite him, the red, white and black car, is Hampus Eriksson, who got his first stride towards success in race 1. But it's about achieving across 2 50-minute races. All eyes from the starting gantry, looking up to turn 15. That's the final corner of the circuit. That's the corner where Bonduelle and Eriksson are coming around. And then Oliver Soderstrom, Igor Oruchev. Let's hope it's clean behind. It's such a tricky first corner, waiting for the final cars to get onto the start-finish straight to give them a chance. So it's a longer hold than if you've got a smaller grid. Last car's just coming round the corner. The lights are red. When they go green, well, Igor Oruchev, to my eye, the blue car went maybe marginally before, but today, surely Bonduelle will go a little tighter to the entrance of the corner. He's done so, and yesterday's winner, Hampus Eriksson, has gone back down to 3rd. The start will be investigated. It always is. There may have been some jumps further down the order, but certainly Oruchev either was perfect at the start or one step just ahead of perfect. Right, the concentration on the face of our race leader there. That's Amaury Bonduelle with Oruchev all over his tail as they go through turn 4. Just remember, there's that little spit of rain. It might make the curbing at turn 4 and other turns a little bit more slippery. Brendan Leach in 99 is pressing on in the Prime class around the outside at turn 5. Slightly risky on the opening lap, but all good so far. Down the straight they go. Amaury Bonduelle and Oruchev made a little break from Hampus Eriksson, but Hampus, he's got those 15 points from yesterday. He can be cautious. One person not being cautious is certainly the 99 Pro-Am class, not yet class leader, because Milos Pavlovic started 8th. He's moved up to 7th. John Dubetz, fantastic start. He's in the 2nd Prime car in 8th. Then Brendan Leach in 9th, and then everybody else, Jack.
Yeah, definitely. Quite a clean start by this week's standards. Amaury Bonduelle did exactly what I said. He just kept it that little bit tight into turn 1 just to put anyone coming off up the inside. And as I said, that commentator's curse.
Well, it was you, not me. I wasn't speaking at the time. But one of the Oregon team cars has gone off, so let's see if that can get out of the gravel under its own devices. Otherwise, that may yet lead to 34. He's been in the war. Jerzy Spinkovic, the Polish driver from car number 25, and 34 was Paul Levette, so he is out. He's furious, and he's been winded a little bit there by looks of things. And I'm afraid with the two of them there, they're not driving out of the gravel, so the safety car there is the signal. So Amaury Bonduelle, he survived the start. He listened to all your advice overnight and didn't just take the wider racing line into turn one. He came across and was in positions. This is turn 9 where that clash has been. Paul Levette has already made the stride away. There's Jerzy Spinkovic climbing out of the way as well. Here's a rescue vehicle. There's got not one but 2 cars to remove. Looks like those drivers are going to have words with each other. Why not? Got to chat about motor racing sometime.
Yeah, it's never the place you want to be, especially so early in the race. And the last race of the season is horrible to finish a season on such a low note, but it does happen, unfortunately. Yeah,
well, Spinkovic was 10th in the top class yesterday and is picking up no points today. And so one of our point scorers is already down. Let me just run you down the points. You get 15 points for victory, 12 for second, 10 for third, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the top 10 positions. 1 point for pole, and that is really, really important because it led to victory in this morning's race for Renault Kuppens by the fact he had the extra point, and that was enough. But for Amaury Bonduelle, it's the only thing that this driver who's leading the race, his 2 points from taking 2 pole positions are all he has at the moment. 0 points because he didn't go past the first corner. Whereas, of course, race winner yesterday, Hampus Eriksson, has 15 in the pot. Loris, well, let's have a look at the start of the race. And was there a jump start in about the second row? Certainly getting going very well was the blue car, and immediately Igor Orytsev got himself ahead of Hampus Eriksson. But importantly for Amaury Bonduelle, there'd be no repeat of contact in turn 1 because he had enough of advantage in that gold car from BDR competition. And in behind, everyone else was trying to get 3 abreast, tucked in behind with Giano Torino in that bright orange car, actually managing to keep out of the way of what looked as though it was going to be a bit of a sandwich. But just what, a car and a half length advantage was enough for Bonduelle to turn in. And actually, everybody else behaving very nicely. The problem, of course, came towards the end of the lap, out somewhere between turns 8 and 9, and there was contact that left 2 cars off in the gravel bed.
Yeah, it's always common that these sort of things do happen on the first lap of a race. Even if you survive the start, things are just getting underway. Like we said, cold tyres with a little bit of rain just add to that drama that can happen on lap 1.
Certainly can, and the start of car 57, Igor Orytsev, by the way, is under investigation. Not because I pointed it out, but simply because everybody was looking at the replays. Every race start is reviewed very quickly after the start of the race. It's standard procedure. They want to make sure everybody has adhered to the rules. But of course, it's down to tiny, tiny fractions of a second if you're trying to gain an advantage on the rolling start. So the field coming around behind the safety car. The order is Amaury Bonduelle, who's looking for redemption. Igor Orytsev, who may have the rug pulled from underneath him if he is found to have jumped the start. Hampus Eriksson, who's leading on points at the moment. In behind him, Oliver Soderstrom, who was a real challenger in the European Championship, and it all fell apart in the 2 races for him and his teammate Lagim Ali on Thursday and Friday. They didn't land a title that looked so it could have been theirs earlier in the season. But anyhow, 4th ahead of Giano Torino, North American champion, and Bryson Morris, another very promising American racer. But for now, we've had quick, now we're going slow until those cars can be removed from the gravel out at turn 9. Drivers out of the way, cars yet to follow. Down in the camp of Wayne Taylor Racing, they're just looking on, seeing how their cars are going, and their best runner is probably Ryan Norman, who's sharing with Danny Formel car number 101, and they in fact lost out a bit at the start. They fell down to 13th place. So I'm also checking, it's like watching a race at the Nürburgring, looking for rain clouds. There is a great big one sort of over about turn 6, but I think it's high enough not to actually trouble us for now. And what you don't want, of course, is well, actually, maybe what you do want right at the end of an exciting race is the potential, is that cloud going to drop or not? But let's go down because Marietta has got Nate Stacey, who's a challenger in the Pro-Am class.
Nate, a number of cars ahead of your car at the moment on track, but you guys did start today P2 in the World Finals standings. What do you think can happen from now?
I mean, anything can happen. I mean, everyone out there is a very fierce competitor. I mean, no one out there is a slouch at this point. I mean, there's only pros and pro-ams in front of us, so if we can keep our heads down and just get a good second stint in, Nick's doing a fantastic job, just going really fast, and car seems really hooked up today. So as long as we can execute and do our jobs, then I think we're in a really good spot for the World Championship.
You are a challenger for the title. Anthony McIntosh, for example, as well. Gianno Taurino also was saying yesterday, some other years, it looks like the Super Trofeo Europe drivers have an advantage. This year, it feels like it's more level. What do you think why do you think that is? Do you agree with that?
I think there was a bunch of technical stuff that happened kind of behind the scenes. I don't know specifically. I just get in the car and go drive. I mean, I let the guys at Wayne Taylor Racing just take care of that. They're always the best there is at what they're doing back behind the scenes. So, no, the cars seem much better this season, a lot more competitive for us. And, you know, hopefully this means we can go and have a chance for the win. I mean, obviously, yesterday was a great day. So as long as we can keep moving in that direction, and I'll let them take care of why we're faster this year or slower. Just going to go drive.
Thank you very much.
Always good to get a driver's insight there, but right now, looking at the field going around, it's being led by Amaury Bonduelle. Not too far back down in 7th place. Car number 33 is leading the Pro-Am class, followed by 99, which we're looking at now, and followed by 146, which is John Dubetz. John lost just one position as Leach went through. Still looking down from the drone, little damp patches on the track. I think every night this week pretty much has been a little bit of a rainfall, but it hasn't been particularly warm. It's only 21 degrees, so it's not like if this is in the summer that would have burnt off. Start under investigation, Igor Oritsev. Well, I told you that, but that red banner makes it look rather more serious, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like they might be looking into what could have happened. I mean, from a driver's eye view, watching that start, it looked like he just really anticipated it and maybe, you know, was right on the gun compared to others around him. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a massive jump. It just looked like he was ready to go forward and his eyes are on the front of the race. After finishing 5th yesterday, he knows if he's got any chance in the World Championships overall, he needs to be winning today. And hopefully having someone like Bonduelle in between himself and Ericsson to, you know, take points off the people he's directly competing with.
Yeah, sometimes you do need someone to help you control a race, and you know, yeah, if the longer he's keeping Ericsson back, the more there's a bit of a gap opening. But for Amaury Bonduelle, he's only got 2 points from the 2 pole positions. He doesn't need almost sort of like a meteor strike or something to take his rivals out. But all he can do is go around and try and get the 15 points for victory.
Yeah, at the end of the day, all he can do is go out there and try and win the race today with fastest lap, and that's the maximum he can do. If he scores those 17 points, he might end up 4th, 5th, 6th in the overall standings, depending on how the rest of the race goes. But, you know, after yesterday, his title hopes were gone.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, the shortest of short races. Right, let's hope safety car in this lap. Let's hope we have a clean restart to this.
A little bit of contact there, just...
about 10th, 12th place. I saw something out of the corner of my eye, so I was looking away. Right, the drivers won't be looking away, and that was the rear view from the Lamborghini safety car, pacing it round. Bonduelle from Oritsev, he'll be ignoring any message from the pits about jump start or otherwise. In behind, Hampus Ericsson. It's a question of who wants to sort of risk how much. For Bonduelle, he is a driver who can control the restart. He's gone. You're good to see the engine absolutely coming out. Sometimes people floor it before they get to the final corner. He's not leaving it inside line, or is he? No, he's far enough clear, surely. A bit of challenging. It looked just behind the Pro-Am class battle. Oh, yeah, sharp intake of breath. In fact, it was the Pro-Am battle. It was Brendan Leach trying to wrestle the lead from Milos Pavlovic. Up front, though, this driver, Amaury Bonduelle, looking at his mirrors. Where is Igor Oritsev? He's a driver there on massive form this weekend. We've commented the whole time that Oritsev, it could be coming to him. And bear in mind, yesterday, he was running in about 9th in the early stages of the race, but he kept chipping away and ended up finishing 4th. So he's got 8 points. He is definitely a challenger. Bonduelle is the outside chance, despite the fact he's loading, and the scene has changed for Igor Oritsev. He's got a drive-through penalty. So the star shone brightly, and it has been extinguished for Igor, and for the Artline team, they'll be hugely disappointed. And for his teammate Shota Abgazaba, he got spun at the first corner of the second part of his World Finals in the AM and Lamborghini Cup classes. So suddenly, Hampus Ericsson's a little more confident. Place change behind No, that's a fantastic battle still between John Dubet and Brendan Leach, and they're still behind Milos Pavlovic. In fact, Dubet's has gone ahead. They're running 7th, 8th and 9th. They're chopping and changing, and they're showing you can overtake on this circuit.
Oh, definitely. Racing can take place here. It's just you have to pick your moments. Once you get side by side, you could actually go through 2 or 3 corners kind of, you know, neck and neck. It's that sort of circuit. It's just because a lot of the corners are quite long and fast, you get a bit of aero wash when you're behind the car in front, a bit of understeer, and it can be quite difficult to follow closely.
Certainly can. Right, this is the view we're looking from Kiko Porto's windscreen as he goes towards turn 14. This is the run from 14 towards the first corner. Now, the car leading is still Amory Bonduelle. The car in second place will need to come in for a drive-through penalty. So look out for that. That's Igor Oritsev. Further down the order, we're getting lots of passing, and one of the Vincenzo Sospiri car alongside car number 22, which is Matej Pavlicek for Mechanic Motorsport. Up front, though, actually, it looks so now. Amory Bonduelle's just banged in one of the fastest racing, if not the fastest racing lap of 4 days of competition here, and that is why he's just starting to eke out a little advantage over Igor Oritsev. Now, the car in second has a drive-through penalty to serve. When he serves it, well, we'll find out fairly soon. But, you know, he is not going to feature in this race any longer, barring a peculiar sense. But look at those dark clouds. They're still hanging around the circuit. We're looking on board from Kiko Porter's Ansa Motorsport car. There we are, going through turn 2, turn 3. That's 4 they're going through. And coming up towards 5. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. It's further around the circuit. The leaders, I was looking at the wrong part.
Turn 9.
Not 8, through into 9. Car 33, that is the one Milos Pavlovic is driving at in 7th place, but more important than that, it's the lead.
Raining quite a lot now,
Pro-Am
guys.
class. Yeah, absolutely so. You can see an occasional flex on the specs on the lens of the camera, but not all the way around the circuit. But for now, Milos Pavlovic leads that class, but the car that's third in that group, just behind John Dubet's, is Brendan Leach, and he's got the most points in the bank. Just checking to see where Nick Persing is. He's second on points coming. He's 5th in class in car 108. So we heard from his teammate Nate Stacey, still sounding quite confident.
Yeah, and they just made up another place, so they're now into 12th. So really on the move, looking quite good for them.
Yeah, what happened? They went from 5th in class to 4th, and I'm trying to work out who just tumbled down the order. Someone's had a moment somewhere. Right, first to second, or Bonduelle to Oritsev, 0.7 of a second. At this point, Bonduelle is just starting to edge his way clear. Car 33, looking at it now, still running in 7th, and is still the leader in the Pro-Am class. But the car 2 places further back, behind the second of the green cars, which is John Dubet's, is the Pro-Am leader in terms of points already accrued, and that's Brendan Leach. More umbrellas going up around, even in the grandstands, but ironically, and it's just getting brighter at the same time. So what are you going to do? A few drivers already reaching for the... Someone has got it wrong at turn 1. Well, if it's bright orange, but I'm not sure. I thought Gianno Torino was further forward than that. But anyhow, suddenly you can see the cars behind having to react, and more umbrellas going up. So I think we've had a sudden flurry here. And if you're using your braking points on the lap before, and it's just a little bit greasy, you know, that is what could happen. Car 141, by the one.
That's a brake failure, I would say.
Yeah,
it's unlikely to go off at turn 6 in that sort of, even with rain, to go off that hard. I'd probably say that's some sort of failure or throttle sticking on.
Yeah, well, it's Gianno Torino down there, and the tyre wall has brought the car to a halt. He's gone through the gravel bed, and he was running nicely at the front end of the field. Already crowned North American champion here this weekend, but for the crew from TR3 Racing and his teammate Ernie Francis, I'm afraid it's over and out for them. Now, this is not the pit window being opened. This is Igor Oritsev coming in to serve a drive-through penalty. He can't do anything clever like change to wet weather tyres here. He's going to have to come through and do precisely that. Drive down the pit lane. He won't stop, but he has to stay below the 50-kilometre-hour limit. But actually for him, the fact that we're going to have full-course yellow, that means if the other cars are coming back around at unabated pace, he'd lose a whole more time. It looks like he's only, well, he may even still be within the top 10 when he gets there. First,
he's going to be about 5th or 6th, I reckon.
Bonduelle, second Hampus Eriksson, full course yellow. All the cars have to go down to a fixed, abated pace. Has that been a masterstroke or a gift or a bit of both for Oritsev? But Artline clearly said, wait, come now. If he'd come in a lap earlier, he'd be down in about 30th position.
Yeah, they've played that well. They've managed the really a rubbish situation in a fantastic way, and they've only lost 4 places, so he's still an outside chance on the overall. Unlikely, but with the weather that's going on now, you know, he seems like he's pretty good pace-wise and with, you know, judging the weather. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, just looking at it, doing a bit of number crunching there. But look at Amaury Bonduelle, who's having to relax. He's actually
4th.
Sitting, you know, very comfortably for orange set, but he'll be below 4th because that was him crossing the line, of course, by the time he rejoined. But let's go down to the pits because Marietta Evans has someone for us. Who have you got, Marietta?
I'm with Tom Capizzi. Tom, what do you think of John's commitment on that stint? He's doing marvelous things with the car right now.
Yeah, well, he's an amazing racer, amazing driver. He's already, I think, 6 on the grid. You know, he's very committed. He's very serious about this sport. He's done a lot for this team and for me. And I just can't thank him enough for everything he does for us and PPM and all the guys here. It's pretty amazing. So looks like we're going to have a little stop and go here for a while and then see if we can keep it dry. It'd be nice.
He's really pushing, trying to get the P1 in class on track right now. And that could also put you in a very nice position for the World Finals standings. What do you think can happen from now on? And can you match that pace when you go on track?
I don't know about matching his pace because John's very fast, but I'll get in, try to keep it together the best I can, keep my head down, hit all my points, and do all I can for this team.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Marietta. That was Tom Capizzi, and it's certainly been a very good start. Now, with Giano Torino off into the tyre wall at the end of the longest straight of the circuit, it's the dipping straight from turn 5 down to turn 6, and it was extraordinary. You could see the reaction from the drivers behind. Good to see Giano is out, but that's the speed he went in. That was not someone out braking themselves, was it?
No, not someone of his ability in that sort of corner. Although it's the heaviest braking on the track, someone like him is not going to misjudge that.
Now, though, could someone else have got it wrong behind him and given him a helping hand?
Yes, that is also possible. I couldn't really see from that shot we just saw of the back of the car. It's possible he was given a helping hand, someone else misjudging their braking, but I would say it's either contact or some sort of failure.
But we are in this strange position. It's suddenly getting brighter around the circuit as we look back at the face of Kiko Porto, but we're having these little flurries of rain, and they're here for about 20 seconds and they move on. So if you have a sudden little hard flurry, and we have had that picked up by some of the cameras, it could just make that degree of difference. Right, what we want to see is the order when they come round. Full course yellow, Amaury Bonduelle is just going past us now. Then there's actually a really long gap. It's actually 7 seconds back to Hampus Eriksson. I've never worked out how it got that big, but you're quite right. It is 4th place that Igor Oritsev is. He's behind Oliver Soderstrom. I thought it was 4th when he crossed the start-finish line, and by the time he got to the top of the hill, but the fact he had to run at exactly the same pace as the people on the track meant he must just squeaked out ahead of Bryson Morris. So he's still in the hunt. Amaury Bonduelle is not out of the hunt, despite the fact he's leading. He's got 2 points in the bag from claiming pole twice. He's got... If he wins this race, he'll get 15. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that takes him to 17. Just remember that number for a second. But the driver in 2nd place, Hampus Eriksson, if he continues where he is, he'll end on 27 points. So that would surely give him the title. For everyone else, they're chopping and changing. I suppose one of the challengers, Giano Torino, he had 6 points in the bag for finishing 5th yesterday. He ain't finishing today. He's out today. We've just seen his orange car off completely. I can't quite work out how suddenly the lead on the previous lap went out to 7 and a bit seconds. Now 8.9 seconds. The lead should not be stretching. It should be similar, unless, perhaps, just unless Hampus Eriksson is running below the limiter. But what happens in this situation, when you get a full course yellow, do you have a button you can press that puts you to a limited maximum speed?
Yeah, in most cars, I can't speak for most cars actually, but in the Lamborghini GT3 car, you press the pit limiter button, but in 2nd gear instead of 1st, and then that limits you to 80k an hour. So I imagine in the Trofeo, I can't really remember back 5 years, funnily enough, but it's a similar sort of setup. So there is a button, and they should all be exactly the same. The only area where there can be interpretation is the countdown from the engineer of when it's going full course yellow. So Amaury Bonduelle has nothing to lose. He may be playing it a bit more risky as to when to slow down. The others may have braked just a fraction earlier. If you imagine you're traveling at 200k an hour and you just slow down that second or two earlier, it's actually a lot of distance.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation of it. Right, looks like a bright, sunny November afternoon here at the Circuit de Jerez. If you're just joining us, this is the 2nd part of the Pro and Pro-Am World Final. And we are waiting for a full course yellow period to come to an end. Giano Torino off in the gravel and against the tyre walls down at turn 6. He's out of the car, he's fine, possibly a little bit winded, but mainly the feeling he'll have will be massive disappointment. He's running near the front end of the field and looking for glory. Amaury Bonduelle is leading the race, but we're all waiting for the restart. And in fact, those rain clouds, unless they're behind us, have moved past. That's good. There's a really, really fierce battle for Pro-Am in this race. 6th overall, Milos Pavlovic leads the class. Then John Dubet's going supremely well in 1:46, tucked behind in 7th. Then Brendan Leach. But it's a two-part race, and Leach and his teammate, Tony McIntosh, already have 15 points from race 1. And at the moment, if they stay as they are, they'd pick up 10. That would make them unassailable in the class. So we have to keep this split element. You know, so many things in sport. You go through the qualifying rounds, you've got the quarterfinals, the semi-final, one final. Here, they have to remember it's across 2 50-minute races. Right, look at the positions. Amaury Bonduelle leading the way by 9.2 seconds, weaving his way down the start-finish straight, and they're back to green. Suddenly accelerating. Now, some of the others, if that happens, just you're turning into the hairpin, you lose a fair bit, but second place, drivers still trying to get heat in their tyres, is Hampus Eriksson. He's the driver with it all to lose, tucked in behind Oliver Soderstrom, and then a driver who served a drive-through penalty and yet came out in 4th, has gone into 3rd ahead of Soderstrom, who was perhaps napping a little bit there, is Igor Oritsev, and Oritsev twisting and switching away, going between turn 3 and turn 4. How much curve do you dare use after there'd been that little flurry of very light rain? All along in this, though, getting clear at the front, making a break, is Amaury Bonduelle. His lead over the start-finish line came down from 9. Oh, dear. Got a spinner there. Car number 14 on the Oregon team. Pietro Perolini has had a little bit of a problem. So if the Oregon team, one of their cars already off in the gravel, that one's had a spin, so it's not going so well for them. Right. Hampus Eriksson, it's as though he's the leader. He's not. He's second because Amaury Bonduelle is out of sight, or more to the point, around the corner. Can he keep Oritsev behind him, whose pace has been getting better and better? But Oritsev, to serve a drive-through penalty that drops you only from 2nd to 4th is extraordinary. And how did it drop him so little? Because just at that very moment, there was a full course yellow period. Everybody else had to turn down to the same speed as he was. So he didn't lose. He must have just popped out ahead of Bryson Morris. And right now, he's looking like possibly the fastest driver out there. Going back to the Pro-Am class, they're running 6th, 7th, 8th, and 11th. Nick Persing in the 108 keeps on catching up. But that lead is extraordinary for Amaury Bonduelle. It's almost as though it was just given to him in one go.
Yeah, he's, well, pretty much just, obviously, as it's full course yellow, the field doesn't close right up. He's just managing that gap that he kind of, well, the gap was given to him because, obviously, Igor Oritsev was given that drive-through. So that is where the gaps increase. But Oritsev is absolutely on a mission. Absolutely blinding tactics by the Artline team to stop under full course yellow. And he's not hanging about. He's in the hunt for the win.
I've got 2 things to say to you. One is I didn't even mention the pit window because I forgot it's been delayed by 5 minutes. That'll be starting at the end of the minute we're in now. The other is speed of a certain car under investigation during full course yellow. It's car 57, the car that got the drive-through. It's Igor Oritsev thing. So maybe they felt at some point in his drive-through he was going faster than, I just wonder if he did it as he went out of pit exit and then accelerated up the hill to get to turn 1.
Oh, what a move.
Well, I tell you what, when it comes to brave pills, he has swallowed the whole pot of them. Igor Oritsev, it's a great move to get past Oliver Soderstrom, and then a lap later, but you know what, Hampus Eriksson is not, it wouldn't be wise for him to contest any moves. He is the leader in terms of points achieved thus far. The car at the front of the race isn't going to challenge him because Amaury Bonduelle only has 2.
Yeah, in this situation, you need to be a bit of a mathematician as well as a driver. You have to be constantly working out who you need to race. And for Hampus Eriksson, he needs to just be smart and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, just looking at the replay there, I was looking across, just trying to check his head movements. He was checking his right-hand mirror because it was a very, very late dive. Right, here's our race leader, Amaury Bonduelle, going around the corner there, the final corner. The pit window is now open, but all these front runners eschewing that. No, about 10th place, someone diving in there. And we'll pick up who that is in a moment. It might be, no, just behind that Pro-Am battle, so it's just after 10th place, I would suggest. So 101 is one of those. Okay, that's
Ryan Norman.
Ryan Norman. And it's one of the agents. Oh, it's Miki Koyama, the Japanese lady racer, and she's going to hand over to Charles Leong. That's been going increasingly well through the course of this weekend and qualified very tidily in 7th place, so competitive. Amaury Bonduelle, what can he do? He's sort of relying on other people who've got lots of points, not getting lots of points. All he can aim for is the 15 points for victory. He's driving solo. He can choose when he comes in. Now we've got sunshine over the circuit. There's his car, glinting gold in the sunshine, down to turn 6. Next in line is Milos Pavlovic. Under investigation. It's already had a drive-through. Then 3rd and 4th. Potential champion. Seems strange to say that because this early in the race, but it's a 2-part race, of course. Hampus Eriksson in 3rd, Oliver Söderström in 4th. And the front runners in the Pro-Am class continue on their way in 6th, 7th and 8th. Pavlovic, Dubets and Leach. This, though, is the battle for 3rd place. Who's going to blink? When are they going to come in? The good thing about this is that Bryson Morris is about 1.5 seconds off the tail of number 9, which is Oliver Söderström. Car 74, that's Pegasus Racing, looking for a driver change, and it's not an unpopular time to be in the pit lane during the pit window.
That's the other thing. You need to pick your time to stop wisely, because 42 cars on the grid, it's not the biggest pit lane in the world. If you come in when everyone comes in, you can end up getting stuck and not being able to get into your box and actually losing time. So actually maybe staying out a bit longer if you've got clear track is wise. Obviously, if you choose to stop at the start of the window, you're probably going to be all right as well. It's this sort of middle period in the pit window that can be a bit awkward.
Yeah, you never know. In the race for AM and Lamborghini Cup races earlier today, it was almost an empty pit lane, but the second car in had to drive immediately across the nose of the one that parked first. Right, Brendan Leach just moved up a position to go 2nd in Pro-Am. So if his teammate Tom McIntosh can repeat that form, they have a very good chance of taking the Pro-Am title. But we've got the pit window's still open for a little bit longer. We're sort of halfway through it, because remember, it opened 5 minutes late, so it'll come to an end with 15 minutes left on that clock.
Which again plays into the Pro-Am, the guys at the front in Pro-Am, because they've got their pros in the car, so obviously that just allows them to, well, stay at the sharp end of the grid, and it means the AM has got to hang on for less time, which is only going to be beneficial to those guys, whereas if the AM has started in the car, they'd be at a disadvantage, which just shows how, as the race unfolds, the strategy can change and you can be benefited or lost by, you know, how your driver lineup is made.
No, entirely, and sometimes you have to gamble. In some places you have to nominate before the race meeting who is driver 1 and who is driver 2, because driver 2 qualifies for race 2 and they start first. It all goes back to front, but for Amaury Bonduelle, he doesn't have to think about another driver, just thinks about himself. So he's taking the shortest of short lines to get into the pit lane. Started on pole yesterday, punted off at the first corner, started on pole today, has been rocketing clear. Now his pit stop as a solo driver has to be 3 seconds longer than that of a 2-driver pairing, but his lead was more than 3 seconds, so he ought to be able to pop out after this pit stop back into the lead of the race, and then his job is to go and get the 15 points to add to the 2 points he's got in the bag at the moment for pole position. However, Marcus Ericsson now running in 2nd place. Marcus Ericsson, I beg your pardon, younger brother Hampus Ericsson. If he can stay in 2nd or 3rd position, even 4th position, that should be enough for him to land the title for 2024. Let's watch, listen, but Amaury Bonduelle has not put a foot wrong. He came away last year with the championship title, and you have to feel he's certainly looking very strong again in 2024, the Belgian racer.
Yeah, he's, you know, so far had a perfect race. He just needs another stint, the same as the first one, and I think it could well be the race win. As for Hampus Eriksson, he just needs to play it smart. You know, he doesn't need to win this race. He doesn't even need to necessarily finish on the podium. He needs to stay out of trouble. He needs to avoid any penalties. He needs to avoid any issues in the pit stop. He just needs a clean race and a good haul of points, and that should be enough to do the job.
Yeah, we've said that phrase before, stay out of trouble, and it seems it's like moths to a candle flame. Some can't resist it, sometimes it comes to them, sometimes it's their own making. But Hampus Eriksson settling down very nicely, and bear in mind that, you know, most of his career up to now has been racing in Porsche series. He's moved across to Lamborghinis for the Super Trofeo and really stretched his legs, and he was so delighted yesterday because you know, if you're in your second or third season with these cars, you're at a far greater advantage knowing the cars, knowing the circuits. But the Swede has done a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, he really has. He's really, you know, had a totally cool head yesterday. You know, his interview after the race showed he was really relaxed and calm, and it showed in his performance.
Right, Amaury Bonduelle back out onto the circuit. Still quite a lot of the runners have not made their pit stops. If you look at the graphic, anyone without a pink background to their positional number, they owe us a pit stop. Igor Oritsev, of course, I'm looking to see if there's any further punishment for a full course yellow, potential infringement to do with speed. And my money, for what it's worth, or what I've got left, is basically, I fear that he may have seen it not in the pit lane, but as soon as he went over the white line, he'd have seen his rivals going up the hill at a bated pace. He might have then just accelerated up that slope and then, before rejoining the track, been going slightly faster. Anyhow, that's just supposition, but I couldn't quite work out how he'd managed to get as far as 4th place when he came out the pits. I thought it was going to be 7th or 8th. But anyhow, he is running in the lead of this race. 3.8 seconds from Hampus Eriksson, Oliver Soderstrom in behind. They have not pitted, nor has the top 4 runners in the Pro-Am Championship. They're running 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. It's Milos Pavlovic, Brendan Leach, John Dubetz and Nick Persing. Nick has been getting closer and closer to those in front, and importantly for him, a lot of the pro cars that were between him and that Pro-Am battle are not there now, but largely that's down to the fact that he hasn't pitted yet. But let's see, it may yet be a good tactic for him to go as long as he can. Igor Oritsev, he does love a run through the pits. He's coming back in again. He's served that drive-through penalty before. Pit window is still open and will remain open for another 2.5 minutes, so this will just be his standard pit stop. He's a solo driver, so it'll be 3 seconds longer than any of the 2 driver pairings. Clouds have burnt off above the circuit here in Jerez. It may be the middle of November, but it's a very comfortable day here. 21, 22 degrees air temperature, that's Celsius. Now, this is quite interesting. We're getting cars that have pitted almost coming out. Okay, let's look at this one. This is the car that started the race with the maximum potential maximum race-winning haul of 15 points in its hands. Tony McIntosh is taking it over. Brendan Leach is out, and it was running, just remember, moved up to 2nd place in class just before those this pit stop was served. So the car from Lippert Motorsport definitely in the mix.
Yeah, it's one of the faster of the AMs, Tony McIntosh. So I think he'll be ready for the challenge.
Oh, and he was also race ready because he competed in the previous race today. So he's definitely got his eye in. He was racing in the AM class as well. And just notice the fastest lap of the race is now 1 minute 44.8 seconds. That's Igor Oritsev. We've seen that pace when he's on the track, but he's in the pits at the moment. Where will he knit in? No further message about any investigation that they were looking into about his potential speeding during a full course yellow period.
Yeah, I think he'll probably come out in 3rd or 4th, sort of around where he was before. I think those top 3 or 4 will be fairly similar to how they were. I think the interesting thing will be the Pro-Am when they come out.
Well, this is our Pro-Am race leader, car number 33, Milos Pavlovic, should be coming in this time around because the pit window will close before he comes around any later in this race. There he goes, car number 33, and I'm sure John Dubetz in his green, white and black car will follow in as well. Must say, having looked at various cars when you get close up, I noticed that Elias de la Tour, the American race, he's got front end damage on his. That's why he's probably down in about 25th place. Certainly fairly loose splitters at the front of the car won't be helping its form around the circuit. So Milos Pavlovic coming to a halt, and Italian racer Alessio Ruffini will be taking that over from him. Car looks in good nick, despite the fact it's been very close racing ever since the lights went green on the gantry. Certainly the Pro-Am battle, that 3-car battle, was looking very good indeed. In fact, when you pan out, it looks like just above the door frame there's a bit of a dent. I don't know what's happened there. It's just between Lamborghini and Milano on the roofline.
It's probably just the wrapping of the car coming a little bit untucked from the edge.
Okay.
Probably not chassis damage, but...
wasn't someone hitting their head on the way in? Or...
You never know, could be. One of the mechanics has a sore head now.
Yeah. Right, so just waiting to see where Amaury Bonduelle will be at the end of this lap, because he's made his pit stop. In fact, I think all of the people have done so. The pit window is now closed. You could still be in the pit window, be in, but just completing your pit stop. In fact, we've got about half a dozen cars doing just that, including the car that's been leading the Pro-Am class. Igor Oritsev has made his run. But let's hear from the driver who's just come in from the lead of Pro-Am, Milos Pavlovic with Marietta.
Milos, that was a very strong stint, keeping that car P1 in class. Talk us through what you did.
Well, we chose a setup which is conservative. It's a little bit understeery, but it should give him a better chance to finish the race. And yes, I just did my best to stay out of trouble, bring it back in P1 as I did. And then whatever happens from now on, it's up to him. So fingers crossed, and let's hope for a safety car or something.
You waited to pit in right until the very last moment. Was that to try and keep as big a gap as possible?
Yes, you know, changing conditions for him, it's going to be extremely hard. It's his first year. You know, this is a gentleman's series, but you have a lot of good drivers. So it will be now up to him to get into the rhythm. It will be extremely hard. But, you know, you never know. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Alessio Ruffini has literally dipped his toe in the water at this level this year. And it takes seasons to really get on top of a car. You can be at 95%, 96% the next year. But then to do so in such a packed grid of cars, Jack, you know, you've just got to have everything right. But what you must have, of course, is constant focus, 100% attention.
Yeah, and it's difficult when you're up against AMs like Tony McIntosh and some of these other guys in the AM class that have done it for many years and raced in different series. All that experience comes together, and it means when you have, you know, the change. Okay, it's dry now, but changeable weather can really have a bigger impact, as Milos mentioned, on a true gentleman that is trying to learn the car. You throw another variable at them, and you know they can lose seconds and seconds per lap, per corner even. So, you know, it's really crucial that, you know, he's given the car in the best position possible, as he has been.
Right, I wanted to see where Bonduelle would come back out. He's not in the lead of the race. It's this car that's in the lead, Igor Oretsev. I'm just going to repeat what happened early in the race. He has served a drive-through penalty. Bonduelle has not been slowed by anything under the safety car, and yet Oretsev has come out ahead. There is still an investigation for a potential infraction, let's say, of a full course yellow procedure when he did his drive-through, and it's possible on the stretch of track just off the right-hand side of the screen where any crime, offence may have been committed. But for now, he is leading the race. He is heading for the 15 points. Amaury Bonduelle, who has taken 2 pole positions, has got 0 points from yesterday for being knocked out, is second on the track. Running around in third is Loris Cabarrou. Then comes Hampus Eriksson. If Hampus can pick up the 8 points to add to his 15 for winning yesterday, that should be enough. But actually, the fact that Loris Cabarrou, who has 12 points in the bag, no, it should still just be enough, because that would take Cabarrou and his teammate Bryson Morris onto it, if they finish in third position, onto 22 points, whereas Hampus Eriksson will be on, get this, 23. It's that tight.
Yeah, I think you can't write anything off, because obviously Eriksson could come under pressure from the car behind. They're only 1.6 seconds behind, and equally Cabarrou is only, I believe, 0.8 of a second behind Bonduelle. So, you know, all it takes is a couple of people to be passed or do the passing, and the points are totally up in the air, and you could see Oretsev walk away with the title.
Yeah, you could. Now, what we want, if there is any decision that's going to lead to any penalty for Oretsev, for it to be decided during the race, so we know before the end of the race. They've got no pressure. You've got 10 and a bit minutes for that to happen, and you know, I'm not wishing it on anyone. I just want it to be decided either way, because that could affect everyone else. Because if everyone else goes up a position, how much would that change things? That would actually make Cabarrou and Morris gain another couple of points, but actually so would, at the moment, it's sort of okay. It's not changing anything much at all.
No, it will probably stay quite... If it stays like it is, it's just very close on points, and it will be... I mean, it's perfect. That's what you want. You want there to be a point or two between everyone.
OK, well, let's just talk about the Pro-Am class for a second. We know what's happening now, because we now have a clear leader. It's in 7th place overall, which is roughly where the car was before the pit... No, exactly where it was before the pit stops. But it's Tony McIntosh, and the other class challengers are falling down the order. So yesterday's class win could be added to with another. But right now, Bryson Morris is the driver who is has handed over to Loris Caparou, car number 130 from Ansa Motorsports, and there the car in the background of shot, black with a sort of almost bronze colours on it. The golden car of Amaury Bonduelle. Well, at the moment that's running in second place, but he needed all the people who scored decent points yesterday not to score. I mean, you know, all he could do was have his own race, Jack.
Yeah, all he can do is do the best he can today. As soon as he ended up backwards in the gravel, that was his title hopes, you know, in the kitty litter where he ended up, unfortunately. Obviously, he wants to win the race today just for pride, but he's not going to be winning overall unless there's serious issues for all the others around him.
No, still waiting for any decision to come up about the car that's leading our race. There may be a penalty, there may not be a penalty, but we're running out to find out. Time is counting down, 8.5 minutes remaining. Oricsev leading the race for the Artline team, and he's got every bit of pace that Amaury Bonduelle has. He's 2 and a bit seconds clear. Loris Caparou had taken over from Bryson Morris. He is actually lost a little bit of ground on that lap. In fact, Bonduelle was the fastest of the top 3. This driver, though, car number 31, Hampus Eriksson, running around in 4th place. And that will be enough to give him 8 points, which will take his tally to 23. That's the magic number for now. Let's see how it unfolds. But Hampus was very unflappable yesterday. Let's go down and speak. Marietto's caught the driver who's not driving the car leading the prime class, the driver who drove at start, Brendan Leach.
Brandon, it looks like at the moment your car is still leading the class on track. Talk us about what you think can happen. Talk us about your stint as well.
Yeah, it was a crazy first part of the race. Yeah, I made up some spots, which was really good after I made the mistakes in qualifying yesterday. Tony's doing a really good job, P1 at the moment. The Silver Cup car's the next one behind us, so yeah, let's see if he can hold them up. He's got good pace and he's got good tyres and a good car under him, so you know he's going to go and do everything he can, and if we make it, we make it, and yeah, let's see.
Who do you think is going to be challenge him for P1 from now to the end of the race?
I think it's the Wayne Taylor car. They're a couple of spots back from us, but yeah, look, they're pretty quick, but Tony's just as quick, so yeah, let's hope all the practice comes in and yeah, we can bring the thing home in P1, but yeah, still 5-10 minutes to go something, so let's see.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marietta. Good thing you didn't tell him on the last lap that Nate Stacey took 2 and a bit seconds out of the margin that Tony McIntosh has. McIntosh is driving 99, and 4 cars further back with 3 Pro Class cars between them is Nate Stacey, and he's on an absolute flyer. And let's see how much he may close in. He's racing, as they said, for Wayne Taylor Racing. And this one is Leipert Motorsport, the team from Germany. Igor Oricsev still leads the race overall, 2.6 seconds. And the investigation about Igor Oricsev will be after the race. That's the message. And 3 cars, their pit stops are under investigation. That normally means a little time penalty. And that is car 99, which is Leipert Motorsport, which is the car we've just been talking about. Thanks, Jack, for grabbing that one. 101, that's Wayne Taylor Racing's Ryan Normal, Danny Formal car. And car 232, which is one of the Asian Series cars. And 232 is the Theodore Racing car of Miki Kiyama, who went so well, and Charles Leong, and that's running in 7th overall. So that could have an effect, but possibly the biggest effect could be what happens in the decision about the driver who's leading the race, Igor Oricsev. Now let's take a look, graphic on the screen. Charles Leong, well, there's an enormous difference there because I think Nico Jamin must have maybe pulled to a halt or something. Right. Not long to go, 5 and a bit minutes. It's hard to believe with this beautiful November sunshine, light cloud, that we had a flurry of rain just before the start of the race. Dark clouds and some heavier rain, and it certainly caught a few people out, but the track fully dry now, and again, just looking for gaps around this circuit where you can pass. Turn 9 and this one, turn 10, aren't necessarily those passing places. Some people have tried at turns 11, 12 and 13, but this is the chicane. 11, 12, 13, and that's the back of Charles Leong's car with Nico Jamin chasing him very hard indeed. Actually, I don't understand that graphic. A short while ago, Nico Jamin was not running 127 kilometres an hour slower. Right, up to turn 15, the final corner. And the French racer for Ansa Motorsports getting closer and closer, but Charles Leong holding on and accelerating down the start-finish straight. Dry track. Igor Oricsev, race leader by 3.2 seconds. Amaury Bonduelle in second, looking for redemption. I mean, after yesterday's disappointment, punted out of pole position at the first corner. He'd like at least last year's World Finals champion to come away with another win. But Igor Oritsev is leading the race, and he's running out of time to do anything about it. Fastest lap of the race is Oritsev. He's running about a second off that pace right now. But that brings us down to this eternal element we talk about, Jack. Tyres. If you use them hard early in the race, you've not got so much performance at the end. Yeah, you just have to really pick and choose when you use your tyres. You know, if you attack too early on, you run out of tyres at the end, and you can be really vulnerable in the last few laps, struggling for traction on the exit of the corners. So you really have to find that balance between being fast enough that you're competitive, but saving a little bit of tyre so you can attack at the end. Right, you use the word vulnerable here. Now, is Hampus Eriksson the driver we're looking at in car 31, the driver who could be heading to the world final title this year? Is he feeling vulnerable right now? Because Largim Ali is on the hunt and chasing him hard, the Danish racer, getting on his rear wing. And bear in mind, Ali and his teammate Oliver Söderström came here with such high hopes of taking the European Championship, and they had two things that went wrong. And so they need to retrieve something from this. They took up the points for 6th place yesterday. Won't be enough wherever they finish today to go to the top. And let's just hope as we look at more time penalties, okay, that it won't affect this battle we're looking at, but it will affect Tony McIntosh. It should be enough, because in fact Nate Stacey, who was the challenger, has lost about 4 positions. So the fact he's got an extra 1.2 seconds shouldn't be too much of a concern. But even so, for the people in the garage, and the driver who's done the first stint, these elements just landing, you never know the full level of impact they may have. Yeah, exactly. They probably will actually be okay with that penalty, I think. But more importantly, with what we're looking at now, what Hampus Eriksson needs to be careful of is that he doesn't start driving in the mirrors. And what I mean by that is he's constantly looking back every corner, every straight, and then he's not looking forward. And that's where the mistakes creep in. You start missing apexes and braking early, and these small mistakes then allow the car behind to really start putting pressure on, and that's where a mistake can happen. Okay, so if this race had started 45 minutes early, they might be having these final laps just for those first flurries of rain, and that could have made things interesting. Right, here is our Pro-Am leader, Tony McIntosh, running 9th overall in the number 99 Leipzig Motorsport entry, but importantly for him, the next car in class, Nate Stacey's car 108, is not huge distance behind, but there are 6 cars between them, so that should be fine. 2 minutes remaining. That's a lap and a little bit of small change just yet. And Tony McIntosh has been on the podium a fair few times here through the course of the 4 days of the World Finals, where we came here to celebrate and complete the Asian Super Trofeo, the European Super Trofeo, the North American, then yesterday and today in the dry conditions have been all about gunning for the global title, the World Finals title. And at the moment, it looks like the driver coming 4th in this race, Hampus Eriksson, should be doing enough to lift the overall title. But can Tony McIntosh, on board right now, take the Pro-Am title? It is certainly looking that way. Final lap of the race. Igor Oritsev leading by a whisker under 4 seconds. There is an investigation about something he may or may not have done during the full course yellow period, but that is going to be after the race. Hopefully, if it's after the race, it's before the podium, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. But right now, he is the driver heading for victory. He's on the final lap. Yeah, I think both him and Amaury Bonduel will just be gutted that, you know, they did, obviously Bonduel ending in the gravel and Oritsev not having quite the result he was probably worthy of yesterday. If he misses out on the title by 1 or 2 points, he's just going to be so frustrated that that bad qualifying yesterday held him back. Absolutely so. Well, here's Amaury Bonduel in 2nd place. It doesn't look as though he's going to add a victory to his non-score. That was his only point of redemption again. As he goes out of the hairpin, looking in his mirrors, seeing who's how close. Loris Cabarrou, though, is another 1.5 seconds back in 3rd place. So we've got 2 cars from the European Championship, heading one from the North American Series. There's 2nd and 3rd. That's Bonduel and Cabarrou. In the background, the shot about 4 seconds further back will be Hampus Eriksson. And if he stays there, that should be enough for the crown. Let's see, can he do it? The person behind him is Largim Ali, who's just 0.7 of a second. Wait for the shot, and here they come. This is our potential champion with the Bauhaus livery on the nose of his red, white, black Target Racing entry. He is the target, but the target isn't being hit by the driver chasing. Car number 9, also from Target Racing, a teammate if you like, but right now you're racing for yourself. Largim Ali is chasing, not catching, and racing, and maybe winning this race, maybe not. Igor Oritsev first to the flag. Investigation about a potential full course yellow period. We'll put that to one side. 2nd place for Amaury Bonduel, with Loris Cabarrou getting closer and closer to finish 3rd. So thumbs up for Artline. They're happy enough with that. That's Oricev's team. Then champion has been achieved, unless there's a late penalty for Hampus Eriksson. 4th place was just enough for him. Lagi Mali in 5th, Danny Formal in 6th, Nico Gemma in 7th, and so on. And then we're waiting for our Pro-Am. Here he is, Pro-Am champion-elect. No longer elect, now definitely the champion. That's Tony McIntosh sharing with Brendan Leach for Life at Motorsport. They have got the job done.
Yeah, I did suspect today they would do a similar job to yesterday. Anthony McIntosh, like I say, fantastic AM driver. Brendan Leach, very experienced in these cars. They just kept their noses clean and did the job they needed to do.
Well, they did just that, and you know, whatever's happening in the race, you just got to wait until it's all over. And it was a good race for people to watch. We had the safety car period, we had a flurry of rain, and Igor Oriczev, just remember, he served a drive-through penalty. How can he still have come ahead of Amory Bonduelle, who was the gold standard in the gold car, simply because he decided to serve it when suddenly a full course yellow period was thrown, and instead of being the driver going through the pits at 50 kilometres an hour, or was it 80 kilometres? It's 50.
It's 50 in the pits, and I believe full course yellow is 80.
Exactly. So he wasn't losing, because otherwise they'd been coming down the start-finish straight at just under 200 kilometres an hour, maybe just a little bit over towards the end, and he would have lost handfuls of places. And as it was, he came back out in 4th place. He could have lost so much more, but that was a lucky stroke of fortune. However, there is still an investigation which will happen after the race as to whether there was some further infraction of the rules for Igor Oriczev and the Artline team. Obviously, they look very happy after the end of the race, but you might as well put on a happy face, and we're not jumping ahead on this at all. We'll just wait until we get full conclusion. But he was the first to the finish. He took the checkered flag. Amory Bonduelle, even if 2nd place, which is what he achieved on the track, gets promoted to 1st, that will not give him the title. So Hampus Eriksson, 4th place was enough. He takes that title. And so, do Tony McIntosh and Brendan Leach, they take a title too. They are the world final Pro-Am champions for 2024. So expect some very, very happy faces when they get to Parc Fermé beneath the podium in proper sunshine here. So the day has ebbed back and forth, a bit like the past 4-5 days of track action. 1 day of practice and then 4 days of racing. And certainly the fans poured in today to take it to Jerez to also look at all the road cars from the Lamborghini range. And we had exciting news that in 2026 we'll have a new Super Trofeo car. More of that anon. But there is Igor Oriczev being greeted by the Artline team. Victor, first driver to the finish, first driver to the checkered flag, and he served a drive-through penalty. Quite extraordinary.
Yeah, that to do that with a drive-through penalty is, yeah, unheard of.
And in a field of 40-plus cars, to come in from the front and still be that close to the front when you emerge, quite something. And in the background, waiting for car number 31 to come in. He won't come below the podium because he was 4th, but Hampus Eriksson is the 2024 World Finals champion. So well done. Huge congratulations to the Swedish racer. He was happy yesterday, but you can multiply that by an enormous factor today. And Brendan Leach looking happy with life as well. He's a proud champion. He's taking the board to the champion. No, to his own driver, to his own teammate, Tony McIntosh. He's nicked the #1 positional board. You get 5 extra points for that sort of behaviour. And so the joy absolutely unbridled down there as well. So lots of happy faces, a good race there. And we will wait to see the drivers go up on the podium. But plenty to discuss there. And it was a hard working day. 2 days combined, 2 50-minute races, and you just got to be on your mettle every second of every one of those, even under a safety car period or a full course yellow. But let's go down, because Igor Oriczev, first to the finish line. Marietta Evans is homing in for an interview.
Igor, what is sure is that you arrived first to the finish line. Talk us through that race.
Very frustrating. I agree with the penalty for jump start, but I was looking at the leader. Amari did the same, a bit quicker than me, so it's a bit tricky because you try to anticipate not to lose positions. The leader controls it, then the light, you have to watch the light, so it was a bit jump start. I agreed. for the drive-through, but also it should have been for Amari as well. Nevertheless, then was really lucky that the full course yellow raid came right after I entered. And well, I know I'm under investigation, but I know the rules that you can accelerate at the pit entry until the safety car line 1. So to me, I was well clear, and it will be a shame if such a win will be taken away. I hope not, but absolutely fantastic, great thanks for Texel, Artline, fabulous. Shut up, Azava, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, you certainly can't fault him for pace and talk about maximising everything. It was an interesting analysis at the start that if he also feels Amaury went, but maybe Amaury just didn't want to be hit off at the first corner as he was yesterday. But there's a happy face, just pensive for a second, but just sinking in for Tony McIntosh down there with Brendan Leach. They've grabbed the Pro-Am title as well, and that's not bad. 9th overall. They were running 6th earlier. But let's go down and hear from the Pro-Am champs. Marietta's right in their zone.
Pro-Am race winners and Pro-Am champs, and what a busy weekend for you as well.
Yes, it's very busy. Again, I couldn't have done it without Brendan, and he's been amazing, an amazing co-driver, and Leipert, and man, I'm gonna have to come up with a new slogan, because back-to-back is, I mean, this is crazy. This is like, I don't know if I'm living in a dream or am I actually still in the dream, and if so, don't wake me up, you know what I mean?
Well, do wake up, because you did make it happen. Brandon, another title for your collection.
Yeah, I mean, Tony brought the thing home for us and did an amazing job at the end. He was battling amongst the pros, and yeah, couldn't have asked for a better teammate myself. So yeah, crazy race for us. Nervous the whole way. I agree with him what he said yesterday. It's much harder watching than driving.
Well, now enjoy, because you do deserve it, definitely.
Well, that was a cracking battle in the first half of the race, in particular in Pro-Am, with John Dubetz right in the middle as well, and certainly the driver who started at the front of that class, Milos Pavlovic, doing a rock-solid job, easily, comfortably within the top 10. So, but that's the point where you've got your pros in. Then it's really how the AM part of that equation handles it. But as you pointed out, Jack, Tony McIntosh is right at the top of the AM spectrum, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's a prime example of how Pro-Am racing works. You have 3 pros starting the race all together, fighting for position. The second stint was only 15 minutes long. Tony McIntosh maybe dropped 1 or 2 places, whereas Alessio Ruffini finished, I think, 33rd. Now, that is not a knock against him. He is in a very high-level championship against a lot of fast people, mainly pro cars. But that just shows you the difference in amateur-level ability. You have someone who is almost a pro themselves, other than maybe their age and their financial position, allows them to go racing and do all this testing.
OK, let's refresh our memories, Jack. Who finished top? Well, I can tell you the name of that. It should be 57. The name should be alongside Igor Oretsev, who was first to finish. And if you've just joined us, he had a drive-through penalty and he still came out on top in a 50-minute race. Quite extraordinary. Amaury Bonduelle making up for being put off at the first corner yesterday, taking second place, 2 poles, but that wasn't enough to take him to the top of the championship. Loris Cabarrou and Bryson Morris, well, they have been right at the thick end, and they would have fallen just short in the championship. But the driver who finished behind them, Hampus Eriksson, this year's champion, world final champion in the pro class. So the Swede will be delighted. And it was a really solid race there, and we've got to the finish. Most of the cars made it as well, and it went from rain to sun, and we have reached the conclusion. But certainly a lot to talk through in that race, but the timing, and it was interesting. Igor pointed out that the safety car period was, the full course yellow was thrown as he was turning into the pit lane. But let's go down with Marietta.
Amaury, it's been a World Finals weekend of ups and downs for you. How do you feel overall?
Difficult weekend. Yesterday we start from P1. I don't finish the race T1. But we win and we lose. This is the motorsport. But today we have the pace to win. But we made an error, mistake at the pit. We boxed a little bit early. But I'm super happy. The team did an amazing job this year. And
I mean, whatever happens, nobody can take away from you that you're taking the Super Trofeo Europe Pro title home.
Yes, I'm super happy. Amazing job all the year. Not a lot of luck all the year, but we are European champion, and we will see for the future.
Thank you. Good luck.
Amaury Bonduelle didn't really put a wheel wrong, but just it hasn't fallen for him this time. But it, you know, in a two two-part race or two races combined, if you're off at the first corner in the first one, it's a very steep challenge. And the important thing for his rivals' point of view is that they kept on scoring as well. And a victory yesterday for Hampus Eriksson and fourth place today gives him the points he requires to be the champion. We won't see him up on the podium because he wasn't in the top three in this race, but he did enough. That's what he had to be aware of. And we saw Igor Oritsev make an overtaking move on him, and he didn't make it too difficult. It wasn't a battle he needed to fight. But I'll tell you what, let's go back and take a look at some highlights from the race. So it's bright, those are some highlights, but let's see if some highlights are going to come our way from the podium. The podium ceremony about to commence, and it was a hard-fought day. You can see all the drivers in there. We've heard from quite a few of them already with interviews down in Parc Fermé, but they've got a lot to discuss in there as well. Some secure in their situations, and others perhaps, as we heard from Igor Oritsev, not sure what may be coming his way. But that investigation about a potential infringement under full course yellow, we were told we wouldn't get that concluded before the end. But let's go back and take a look at some more highlights before the drivers head out to the podium. And the podium ceremony about to burst into life. We have obviously the two classes in the Super Trofeo races. We have four classes, but of course this race was just for the Pro and Pro-Am finishers, and we will have the first podium coming up very soon. A great hubbub down below, lots of people wanting to join in the celebrations. The top three cars in each of the classes sitting down beneath them. Almost a bit of sun glinting off them there. They're on the north side of the east side of a great big pit building, but it's still bright down there, which is very good news indeed. So, plenty of hubbub. We need the ceremony. So, any moment, the master or mistress of ceremonies will call them out onto the podium. And this is it, the conclusion of 4 days of racing here at Circuito de Jerez. 2 days to finalise the Asian Super Trofeo, the North American Super Trofeo, and the European Super Trofeo. And yesterday, Saturday, and today, Sunday, it's been the two races for each of the categories. And for the pros and pro-ams, like the AMS and Lamborghini Cup runners before their afternoon is run, just these final podium ceremonies to follow. And it's been a great weekend. We heard last night that at the awards ceremony, but next year's World Finals will be at Misano on the Adriatic coast of Italy. So drivers can start focusing on that already. And there was also the announcement of the Temerario model, which is going to be the car that will be the Super Trofeo model in the years ahead. Not next year, but 2026 onwards. So we look forward for further details of that being issued over the next few months.
Yeah, exciting times ahead for the world of Lamborghini and motorsport.
And I think, Jack, you know, you've competed in this series many times, but it's also the sheer growth in the championships. We had 80-plus cars coming here to play across 4 days, and play they did.
Yeah, it seems to get bigger and stronger every year. So, yeah, like I say, exciting things to come in the next few years, especially with the new car.
Well, putting on a brave face there, Amaury Bonduelle, it all sort of didn't go wrong today. It went wrong for him yesterday. He's had all the pace, but unlike last year, we had the reverse. He lost the European title and won the world title here, the world finals at Vallelunga. This year, he got the European title, and I suppose as a form of balance, he didn't get the world finals, and that will be Hampus Eriksson who'll be celebrating the most for that.
Yeah, he's got both. Now we'll have both trophies at home, but just not in the same year and not back-to-back world titles. But, you know, if he comes back next year, I'm sure he will be one of the front runners for both again.
You'd think so. And in a championship like this, to be able to put two on the trot, it really is something, particularly if you're in the pro class as well. So more variables if you're in Pro-Am or Lamborghini Cup, but certainly in Pro, you know, the writing's on the wall if you can get it right. So we need someone now with a cattle prod to get them going out onto the podium, and about to be called, about to go out there. So almost there, and we'll see. Some will be happier than others, but certainly anybody who can take a win here in the final race should be very happy indeed. Just waiting and waiting, and again, those conversations. It's always a strange little room, isn't it, behind a podium? You're either happy, sad, or almost happy, or slightly sad. And you know, even if it's a clean race, there's always something that you racing drivers can find to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, drivers can talk about tyres, cars, setups, what happened to them in the race, any sort of issues they had, battles along the way. There's infinite things you can talk about with other drivers.
Yeah, throw in changeable weather, that's another layer of story. Right, okay, now the caps are being handed out, so that means very soon there's a whole stack of caps there. Got to get the right ones, the one that says winner to the person who'd won, etc., etc. But once they got those Hankook caps on board, drivers should be coming out onto the podium. So let's have a very quick refresher of what happened in the race. Drivers coming out onto the podium, and in third place we have the 130 crew of Bryson Morris and Loris Cabarrou. In second place we've got Amaury Bonduelle. And Amaury Bonduelle in second place, and on the top step Igor Oretsev.
El vencedor para los integrantes de
So victory in the second of races for the World Finals to Igor Oritsev for the Artline team. Second place, Amaury Bonduelle, BDR competition, and third place, it's the crew of the 130 entry from the North American series. It's Ansa Motorsports, Loris Cabarrou and Bryson Morris. So trophies being handed out. We've had the national anthem, and shortly drivers will be asked to get up onto the top step of the podium. National flag being brought out from the Artline team to Igor Oritsev. Alongside on the left is the driver who started twice from pole but has not left empty-handed, but not got what he'd hoped for, last year's World Finals champion Amaury Bonduelle. And then some drivers who I think will be here for a long time challenging the young guns there. Loris Cabarrou and Bryson Morris. Bryson closer to us, Loris a little bit further away, but third place for them. And there is our podium. It doesn't contain this year's 2024 World Final Pro Champion. He finished fourth today, but victory yesterday has given the title to Hampus Eriksson. It'd be great if we could catch him later, but he'll be celebrating. You can be absolutely sure of that.
Yeah, quite disappointing for him to not be on the podium of the day of winning it. You know, I feel you miss the interviews and all the kind of bustle of the trophy room, but obviously doesn't take any of the shine off the fact that he has won overall, and he will have that huge trophy to try and get home tonight or tomorrow whenever he travels home.
No, exactly so. I thoroughly concur with that sentiment. But this is the car that took victory for the Artline team with their metallic blue livery and the yellow flashes, but driven supremely well by Igor Oritsev. And get this, he won the race despite serving a drive-through penalty. It was the timing of that when just a full course yellow period had been thrown. But at the end, Hampus Eriksson and... oh, there's a point, actually, isn't it? I had Hampus down on 23, but Igor, by having taken that win, is equal on points. So let's see how that one unfolds. I'll look for any late messages coming my way, but I had been told that was Hampus's title.
May depend on who had fastest lap.
Well, it could do, but also looking behind this, and that was Igor's fastest lap, but the young guns, Morris and Cabarrou, so close. They were the ones I was watching, and they ended up 1 point behind Hampus Eriksson. So let's have the Pro-Am ceremony coming out onto the podium, and let's see if the people we expect come out. And waiting as the order are coming out. You'll get the third place finishers in class. And it's Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf. Schandorf, who got great success before. This is another run for Target Racing. Car number 81 coming out. Third place for them. Driver from Hong Kong and the Dane alongside. Second place, it's one of the North American crews. It's car 108. It's the pairing from Wayne Taylor Racing. It's Nate Stacey and Nicholas Persing. But to the top step, it's the 99 crew from Lippert Motorsport. We've heard from them already with the interviews with Marietta. That's Tony McIntosh and Brendan Leach onto the top step.
Schandorf and Au were unlucky that their car caught fire on the grid yesterday. Looking at this result, you know, they could have been well in the fight for their second Pro-Am title. So unfortunate for them, but, you know, something to come back for again next year.
Absolutely so, yeah. We saw it being wheeled off the grid. So as the German national anthem for Lippert Motorsport fades away on the top step, Tony McIntosh, definitely a champion. 15 plus 15, the maximum score you can get from your racing activity, with Brendan Leach, lands that title for 2024. The Pro-Am honours absolutely out clear. And we've just had the situation of a tie, it seems, for Igor Oritsev and Hampus Eriksson for now, while an investigation is underway for the Pro World title. But in Pro-Am, it's much simpler. The maths are very easy. If you win your class on both days, you get 15 points times 2. And anybody else taking a pole and getting an extra point wouldn't be able to topple you. So Tony McIntosh and Brendan Leach there will be some standing in form there for Tony McIntosh. He does love a podium, doesn't he?
Becoming quite good at them.
Well, I suppose practice, if you get enough practice, it will come your way. But another good run from Nate Stacey and Nick Persing on the left-hand side. They had a cracking meeting overall. And as the final trophies for the final race of the 2024 Lamborghini Super Trofeo racing season here at the World Finals is complete. A roar of noise from a handful of ascenders out on the track, rattling around. The public enjoying those very much indeed. But it's been an enthralling World Finals and a great couple of days racing before to settle the Asian, North American and European series. But there, Tony McIntosh and Brendan Leach, champions in Pro-Am and winners in both of the World Final races. Nate Stacey and Nick Persing, second in both those races. And Alex Howe and Frederick Schandorf at least getting a podium place after mechanical problems really took them out of the reckoning yesterday in the first of the World Final races. But this one, it belonged to Tony McIntosh and to Leipert Motorsport, along with his co-driver Brendan Leach, who did the hard yards at the start of the race.
Yeah, great job by them. I wonder if Tony McIntosh actually booked an extra case to, take back to the United States because of all the trophies he's got to take home.
Yeah, I've certainly been to places where the trophies are enormous, but anyhow, that's a nice problem to have. So Leipert Motorsport taking victory yesterday, victory today, and that puts them on 30 points for both drivers. And then second place ×2, Persing and Stacey comes second overall in the overall rankings, with Milos Pavlovic, who took outright pole in class today, but couldn't build on so much. And he ends up third with his teammate Alessio Ruffini, who's in his first season of racing. So that really is a fantastic result for the Italian racer. And that is that. 4 days of racing here at the Circuito de Jerez. I've thoroughly enjoyed every single moment, and it's goodbye until next year when we'll turn up for our World Finals at Misano. But thanks to a host of co-commentators with me, but Jack Bartholomew, I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Been absolutely fantastic. Hope to be back in the near future, maybe. Let's see.
Well, let's see. They might even have me back. That's it. Goodbye from us.